Welcome back to the Mermaid Dress YouTube channel. In today's class, I'm going to show you how I cut this mermaid dress with a cut together tail. So you're going to be seeing how to cut and sew this in this tutorial. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. This is something you like to learn. Kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so to cut the skirt is a mermaid skirt, so I'm going to start by cutting the front because the train is going to be cut together for the back. That's why I'm not folding the front and back together, because I don't want to waste too much fabric. So now we're going to cut the front first and use it to cut the back. So this is my waistline. I've already marked it out. It's a white fabric. I don't want too much marking on it, so just follow what I'm doing. So here's my waistline, this is my hip line, and this is my knee. So the knee, usually you are not going to mark it exactly on where you have your knee point. My actual knee point is 38 inches. Okay, so I came up by 3 inches from the 38 inches, and that gave me 35 inches, just like we have here. So that will make your skirt have a full longer effect, and it will make the person walk easily in it. You don't want it to be too tight on the knee area, so that's why I made it like that. And then the full length is 60 inches for me for the front, so I have 60 inches up to that point. So here my waist measurement is 28 inches. 28 divided by 2 is actually 7 inches, which is here. I added 1 inch seam allowance for the dart, and then I added my seam allowance. So you can use 1.5 or 2 inches, but because I'm going to be turning it, that's why I have this much seam allowance. So here, this is my waist, my hip. The hip I'm working with is 44, divided by 4 is 11. So that's the 11 that I have here. You can see, let me turn my tape like this. So this is 11 inches. I've marked it, and then I added my seam allowance there as well. So here on my knee, the 11 inches that I have here, you can subtract 1 or 1.5 from it to give you the pencil effect that you want. So here I subtracted 1.5, and then that gave me 9.5 inches. So you can see this is 9.5 inches, and that's where I have my marking, and then I added my seam allowance to it. Okay, so for folding my fabric, my actual hip is 11 inches, just like I mentioned. Okay, so I doubled the 11 inches, and then I have 22 inches here. That's what I folded, so that I can have the A-line effect. So now from my knee, I'm going to slant it to the 22 inches that I measured. So I have slanted this like this. Like I said, there is a marking here, but because this is a white fabric, I don't want so many markings on it. I'm going to cut it now on camera, so by the time I'm cutting it, you will have an idea of how the marking was. So I'm adding a little bit of allowance up here, and then from there so to cut the back, I just folded my fabric again, but this time I folded it small. Like I said, I'm going to cut the train together with the main fabric. So now I have folded it, and then I placed the front on it. So this is the starting point now. It's turned this way because I don't want to waste too much fabric. So now this is my waistline, this is my hip, and this is my knee length. So if you notice, this is the center front. I have some space here. So depending on how wide you want the train to be, for me, I have about 8 inches as allowance before placing my front here. So you can see the space that I have here. So that's going to be for the train. So from this space now, what I'm going to do first is to mark out my seam allowance. So here I've marked my knee length, my hip line, and my waist. So for my my zipper allowance, sorry, it's going to have a zipper. So for the zipper allowance here, I'm marking 1 inch on the knee. So for both allocation on the hip, I'm marking 1.5 inches, and then on the waistline I'm marking 1 inch as well. So after marking it, you're going to connect them together. I have done this already. I connected for my zipper allowance, and this is going to be my zipper allowance. By the time we cut it now, you will see. So now to create this train, you can start marking it from your knee area. But for me, I don't want it. I want it to be like under the butt. So from my knee area here, I'm going to come up by around 2 inches, which is here. Okay, so from there I'm going to draw a diagonal line. And if you notice as well, let me show you the hem. For the hem, like I said, it's going to be a long train, so it's going to be longer than the length that we have in front. But don't worry, we are still going to reconcile it so that we can sew it easily on the side. So now this is where my front hem stops. So for my back hem, depending on how long you want it to be at the back as well, I have added extra 13 inches to this. Okay, so this is extra 13 and a half inches. So if you want yours to be longer than this, you just need to add as much as you want. So now I'm going to first connect from my knee area, from my new knee area to the hem, and then I'm going to mark it out. So I'm using this to know so that I can have a straight line. So here I'm marking, as you can see, and then I'm going to mark to the edge. So now this new measurement that I have is going to serve as the train, and you can see that I'm cutting it together with my main skirt. So now, because the front and back are no longer the same length, and we need to sew them together by this side, so what I'm going to do now is to connect from the new hem that I have for the back. That's the center back. I'm going to connect in a diagonal form to meet my side, to meet the side of the front, so that they're going to be the same thing. Let me try to shift this up a little bit so that we can see. Okay, so I'm connecting from here in a diagonal form like this. You can use your free hand, you can use a cuff, and then I'm going to connect to meet the side of the center front, so that they are still going to be the same thing by the time I'm sewing it together. I hope you understand that. So that is what I've done to the back. Now I'm going to grab my scissors and cut it out. So I'll start cutting from the hem, following this new side that I have, and then for the side of the back, it's going to be exactly the same way we cut the side of the front. So I'm going to use the front to cut the back. Then after that, I'm cutting my new center back. You can see the shape that I have for my new center back now. I'm cutting out the train. Then after cutting out my train, I'm going to go ahead and cut the seam allowance that I have marked as well. So you can see that. So after cutting the seam allowance, like I said, the side is going to be exactly the same. So what I have cut out for my front is what is going to serve as a guide for the back. So I'm just cutting out the exact side that I have for the front. That's what I'm cutting on the back as well. So your train can be as long as you want. So you are the one to decide that. It's totally up to you and the design you are going for. So you can see this is our waistline, this is the hip, this is the knee. You can see that the sides are exactly the same for both front and back. Where we have difference is the center. Okay, that's the center back and the center front. You can see my center front is just straight like this. But for the center back, you're going to have your zipper allowance, and then from your knee, I'm going to extend this. You can see my extension is not so wide. So if you want yours to be wider than this, you just need to increase it. And you can see the hem as well. So it's totally up to you and what you're aiming for. So we have several tutorials on how to draft a bustier. So I'm just going to quickly run through this. You can see I've already drafted it. I'll just explain what I did. This is my armhole line, this is the bust point, this is the under bust, and this is the waistline. So I have the basic bodies
already. So what I did was just to note where my neckline was going to be. So I first noted where I want the depth of the neckline to be, and for me that was around 7¼ which was here. So here on the armhole area it has a yoke, so I marked where I want my yoke to be on the armhole area as well, and then with the head of my curved ruler I connected them together. So now that I have a defined neckline, I can go ahead with my crochet pattern. So you need your bust span measurement, of course. So the bust span is 8, divided by 2 is 4. So I marked 4 inches from the center front, and then I made this into a straight line up to where my neckline stops, which was here. Then after that I took a dart of 1 inch on my under bust as well as my waistline, and then I connected that as well. So after doing this, what you just need to do is to take your curved ruler and then you connect to your bust point like ½ inch before you get to your bust point line. So I did this for the 2 sides, and then you have your pattern. So here on the upper part, to tighten that part, I marked ½ inch on both sides as well, and then I connected that to my bust point as well, just like I have it here on both sides. So you can see now that I have my busty pattern. So for my bust dart, from the bust point I came down by 2 inches because that's the difference that I have from the front and back waist measurement, half length measurement, and then I connected it. So this is my bust dart, this is my waist dart, and this is the tightening I did on the upper part. So for the yoke, okay, I have my natural neckline of 3 inches width here, so I want the neckline to be a little wider than that. So I'm adding 1 inch extra. That will make my total neckline measurement to be 4 inches, as you can see. So what I did was just to take my ruler and then I connected this to the center part. That's how I want the yoke to be, like this. So now this part is going to be my yoke, and then I'm going to be cutting that part out. So now for the 1 inch that I took out here, I extended the bust dart by the neckline here by 1 inch, and then I measured this back and redrew my armhole measurement. I hope you understand that. So you mark your side and then the front is ready. So now I'm going to cut this front out. So the marking that you see here on the upper part, I'm using this plain fabric for the bodies, and then I'm using these legs for the yoke. So now for the center part, I want it to have a little bit of lace. So that is why I'm drawing it how I want it to be. So I just marked like 1 inch upward, and then I'm going to mark it out. So I'll cut it and keep it, so that I'm going to cut my lace with it. So just this part. So let me just label it yoke 2. So now I can cut out this pattern that I have here. So you go ahead and cut it on your fabric. For the back is a regular back, and you're going to be lacing the back. So just like the front too, you have a lot of tutorial on it. So I've definitely, let me just quickly run through the back as well. So you can see my back. You just got your regular basic bodies here. This is my zipper allowance, although I'm not going to be working with a zipper like I said. I'm going to be lacing the back. So what I need is to decide where my neckline is going to stop, and I'm maintaining my armhole line for my neckline. So I drew my dart, and then with the head of the cuff I marked how I want the yoke to be. So I just placed my cuff like this, and then I drew out my yoke. So now for the lacing, depending on how open you want it to be at the back, at the upper part here I want it to be open by 4 inches, so that my lacing is going to close it up to make up the entire back bodies. So because I want to use 4 inches, and this is on fold. I'm taking out 2 inches from the center front at the upper part, and then for the lower part I want it to be 2 inches. So it means I'm going to take out 1 inch from my center. Remember, this is allowance, this is my actual center point, and then I'm going to connect like this. So it means all of this is going out. This is my new center back, this is my side back, and this is my yoke. I hope you understand. And you can see that for the neckline I did 1 inch as well before connecting it to my actual neckline, so that it's going to match with what you have at the front. So here we're going to be cutting off all of this because it's no longer needed. Okay, I'm going to cut it off. So this is my back, and then for this as well, let me just remove the back first. So I'll separate the side back and center back as well, because I'm going to put a modesty panel and it's going to be in between my center and side back. That's why I'm separating it. If you are not using that, you can easily close the dart before you cut it on your fabric. So I'm just going to indicate the up and down, because if I cut it now, it's going to be a bit difficult. And then I'm going to indicate this as the side, and I'm going to just put any markings to help you remember before you cut them out. So now I'm going to cut out the dart for the back. So these are very small patterns, you need to keep them very well so that I don't end up looking for it. So this is my center back, this is my side back. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut out my yoke as well. So this is my armhole. So when you are cutting this on your fabric, remember to add allowance to it. So that is just about it. I'll go ahead and cut it on my fabric now, and then I'm going to bring it back so that we can see how to assemble everything. So you cut your shoulder slope as well. I'm going to do the same thing for the front. I don't want this to be too long. I'm going to have to cut this on my fabric. You can see this is the center front, so I added SD to it, and then I cut out my wording for padding it. Okay, so this is my center front, this is my side front, and I did the same thing for the back as well. Added interfacing to the back. There is no wording for the back. So this is going to be the modesty panel I'm going to use to cover the lacing part. So what we're going to do now is to go ahead and sew the center front and side front together. I'll do the same thing for the back, lining and main fabric separately, and then from there we'll continue. Okay, so I have gone ahead to join it, you can see now, and then I ironed my seams open. So this is the lining, and that's the main bodice, and this is the lining. So for your lining as well, you're going to join it, and then you're going to open your seams just like we have it here. So that's for the front. For the back, this is what we have for the back. I have my modesty panel as well, and then this is the other side of the back. So here for the back, I forgot I'm going to add a yoke, so I'm going to have to loosen a little bit of the side back so that I can insert my yoke. Okay, but this is what I have for now. You can see this is the first side. This is my modesty panel neatly installed. I have several tutorials on how you can make a modesty panel already. That's why I did not film that. So this is just the hem where we're going to sew the skirt. You can see that's why it is still opened. So we are going to be joining the skirt on this hem. You can see that it is only the upper part that is neatly finished for now, although I still have to loosen the side to add my yoke to it. So now this modesty panel is going to cover the space that we're going to have from lacing it at the center so that the body of the person is not going to show. That is what the modesty panel is for. So now I am going ahead to cut out my yoke as well. So this is the yoke for the back. You can see just like we have it in the pattern. You can see this is the pattern, and I'm going to have to cut for the two sides. This is the neckline, the shoulder, and this is the shape that we have. So I'm going to use my bias to finish the neckline and this opening at the back so that it's going to be neatly finished. And for the front, I decided not to separate my yoke. Remember I said I want the yoke to have, I want the lace to, I want the blouse, the dress to have like a lace at the center as well, which was this. I wanted to detach it before, but I just decided to put it together with my shoulder yoke. So you can see this is what the yoke looks like now, and it was cut on fold so that I'll have everything together. So again, I'm going to use my bias to find a way to turn the neckline as well so that it can be neat. But maybe if you're cutting yours on the selvage area, you can leave it as it is, but I'll try to maybe fold this inside or just use a bias. Just be careful because of the V shape that we'll have on the neckline. So I'm going to go ahead and sew the yoke to the back, to the bodies like this. That's why I've not turned it. Then after joining it to the main bodies, I can now use my lining to turn everything out. So I'll do this for the front and back, then we'll go ahead and fix the skirts. So you can see now that I have sewn in my cape, my collar, sorry, my yoke to it, and I decided to leave the edges like this. If it's fraying, then maybe I'll turn it with bias. I don't want to turn it. Okay, so this is what I have now, and I went ahead to sew my skirts. Okay, the skirts that I cut earlier, I sew it to the lower part. So this is the front and this is the back. So for the back, what I need to do now is to make my eyelets here and at the center here so that I can lace it up, and then I have fixed a zipper at the skirt. So this is what it looks like on the inside. You want to make sure that the inside is as neat as possible. Okay, this is what the inside looks like, and this is what it looks like on the outside. So I just fixed a regular basic sleeve with my lace, and then here at the center back I'm going to fix a hook and eye to hold the neckline together. So this is what we have for now.
This is what it looks like for the first fit here. You can see how beautiful it is looking. So you can bead on it, you can leave it as it is, you can drape lace on it, you can do whatever it is that you want, basically based on your preference and what your clients want. I hope you enjoyed making this tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe. Thank you.